Okay, welcome back and welcome to Printmaking and Painting. I'm Karen DeLuca, if you don't know me. Today we're going to be incorporating something from the printmaking world with our knowledge of painting, whether it be extensive or not, at whatever level you're working. Printmaking is, just to give you a little definition, it's anything that's inked up and printed on paper. So, or printed, it could be printed on wood, but we're working off of the paper idea. I'm going to show you before I begin the process exactly, um, some samples of what we can get to. And it can be whatever level you're working at and whatever strikes your fancy. Let's see. Now, the whole idea, and I think you all know, um, the idea is working off of this, this styrofoam kind of tray or pad. And what I do is I cut off the edge just so you get a nice flat surface because you don't need that curved edge at all. Okay, so here's what you end up with. Piece of flat surface, okay? Now, to make your design into this, we're just going to be using today, we're going to be using a ballpoint pen or any kind of a sharp pencil, whatever. But ballpoint pen I find is the best implement at this point. Okay, I'm going to show you, and what I've been doing is we can either make a set of prints or we can make a set of cards. Now, here's one where this was here's the foam. Here's a little piece of the foam, which I cut out, and I just drew concentric circles, one after the other. And from that, this is the card that printed. So you ink it up, and it's back. Is it backwards to you guys? You are my sunshine?
No,
Not mine.
no, you're great.
Okay, good. So you can see that what translates from here to here is kind of remarkable and really interesting, I think. Now, this is all acrylic paint, but you can always add watercolor to this. You can add anything. You can add embellishments. But this, the cards that they sell that come in a pack, like this is a mixed media card, which comes in a pack like this. So it's a tall, you can either use it horizontal or vertical. So they're put out by Strathmore. And the other size I use is this one, which is a 5x7, I guess. And you can print directly on this, or you can print on watercolor paper or any kind of paper that will be of a cardstock. You don't want anything too thin because it won't hold up. Okay, so here's one where we use, just to recap, this kind of a design. Now, say you didn't want to invest in, a whole set of acrylics, and I had suggested maybe just using black. And here's something that I did that was just from black. And
Very cool.
let me show you. Look at this little thing. It's just the top row is just this square with, and then you just add things to it. The other one is here's this one on this end here, which was just a little crisscross idea. Just lines. That's all it is. And I'm going to demonstrate these today. This one in the middle, this long, tall one, is this. So you can see I just repeated, lines, squares, ideas. And let's see. Oh, the fish. Here he is. Not fancy, not overdone, but here he is on the bottom where he's all in black, and you could always add color to that. And you see the circle here, I printed a black circle, and instead of seeing it in positive, which I would say this is kind of the negative take on it with color added. Okay, so these are the kind of things we're going to be looking at and doing. Now, you can be as realistic or as abstract as you want. It just depends on, how you feel about it. Here's one where this is a combination of The one that had the squigglies, I just printed like this to look like water. And then the fish I printed 3 times. Here he's going off the page, and I used metallic gold there. So it has like a, kind of a shimmery, I don't know whether you guys can see that or not, a shimmery feel. So that's real. Here's another one where all it was this very simple fish shape. And what I did was I added the, is that upside down? Yes, there we go. And they're just going through the kelp, and just this little, the eye is like the end of an eraser or a pencil. You dip it in the paint and just print it on there. So the idea of printing and then painting into your printing is the whole Megillah. Okay, here's that long one that we looked at in color, this one. And here it is in color. It has kind of a tribal feel. It just depends on your color palette, which can be nice. Now there are some that are a little more realistic. And the idea is when you're drawing into the foam, which I'm going to show you today, how to take something you're looking at and translate that onto the foam. Here's one that was like a simple rose idea. And then, there we go, upside down. But the painting, when I applied the paint there, I just applied it dark and light to make it darker in some areas, lighter. Put the green on also at the same time. So, and these can be turned into a card. Or little prints. You can do a series of flowers, different kinds. Here's, this is kind of cool. This is a bunch of strawberries. And here it is over here. I just want you to see how simple and what happens to it. And I think the translation is really interesting and fun. Okay, there's another one here. Oh, and words. Now, if you ever get into the idea of doing any words, you have to remember when you're printing something, you have to do it backwards. Okay, so let's see if I have this one here. Oh, here we go. Here's one that I thought I would make into a happy birthday card. And here it is in the foam. See the word? Now, because it's coming to you, it's straight on, but when you do it, it's got to be printed. You have to do this part backwards in order to achieve reading right on this end. But I mean, it has fun, and you can even paint into that. You can put, confetti. You can make it whatever you want. I think there's one more I'd like to show you because it was really kind of, now this one was just a border, a simple border. Let's see if I have it here. I think it might be this one. And when you do lines and shapes like that, and then you print them, different things happen. And you don't have to, when you're pressing this onto the paper, you don't have to press the whole thing. In that case, I just pressed along the edge to make a frame. And that's what happened here. And then I went back in and just put some watercolor over top, or just water. And then in this area here, I thought, well, why not put a word, maybe merci or thank you, if you wanted to create some kind of a card from that. But it has a real loose feeling. And, that's what happens here. So you can go from something that's realistic, more realistic, like the strawberries or flowers, or you can go something that's, real abstract looking. Okay. All right. So let me get to it. That's where we're headed.
Karen,
Oh,
can I ask you a quick question?
sure, of course.
Do you have any tips for writing backwards? Because I think that's something that I don't think my brain could actually handle. Any,
Okay,
any
the way
tips
I do it, that's a very good question. The way I do it is I write it on a piece of tracing paper,
Ah,
and then I turn the piece of tracing paper over, facing me, and then I just work from that.
perfect.
And it works good. In fact, this is something not to do. I did the whole border.
Oh,
I did the whole border, painted this in purple, and then I put, what do you call it? The masking fluid. And I wrote it backwards thinking I was printing it, but no, I wasn't printing it. I could have written it just regular in masking fluid. So this is a no-no. I thought I would share that so that you don't do what I did.
I love it. I love it.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you know what?
Dyslexia there.
yeah, you could send that to somebody with dyslexia.
Exactly. Wouldn't
Actually,
that be fun? Figure this out. Here's one of the same happy birthday. It didn't print as well, but the idea here, I wanted to show you that you can put down a color first,
Huh.
let that dry,
On the
and then
paper.
print your other color on top. It's another, another form of it. Okay, so those are some ideas and what to do. Did everyone happen to get the information sheet that I sent? It came as an email?
Yes.
Okay, was it
many times.
understandable?
Yes.
Several times? Oh my,
Yes.
Yes.
I never knew. 3 times it came. Well, it's like a belt. It's like a belt and suspenders. You want to make sure. Okay. Okay. All right. So and does anybody have a question before we actually get to it? Or we can run with it? Okay. I'm going to run with it. Okay. So back to the styrofoam. Okay. You know what now? I think, Michelle, we can switch to the table.
Alrighty.
Okay. Okay. In this case, what I wanted to do is pick something that, we could work from. In this case, since my zodiac sign is a crab, I said, oh, this is a very interesting and graphic thing to look at. And maybe I'd work from that. Now, depending on how well you draw or don't draw, this might be something you take on. If it's too complicated, then we're going to go to some abstract forms after. But I wanted to start with something that was a little more realistic first. Okay, so you get reference in front of you. Okay, and then you get your pen. And in this case, I'm just using a ballpoint pen. Let's see, can I move that? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So what I would do first is decide really kind of lightly just where things are going to go. So just lightly, I have the claws, the top of the body, these things here. Then I looked at the shape of this, the upper shell. Then I looked at these, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, these go this way, this way, this way, here, 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 and this one goes up that way. Okay, so you can see right now there's nothing fancy about what happens here, but what happens is it's in the printmaking. That's when it really it becomes something magical. All right, so now I'm not going to spend a lot of time drawing here, but what I'm going to do is press into the foam with your pen the next time you go out. Okay, so here I'm pressing in. There's a little thing on his antenna there. The shell goes in, and you want to press nice and firmly. And there's some jiggity jaggities along the shell. This claw up here, in, out, down, and go back. And there's a thing where it comes open, like the really, what is that? The real sharp end of the claw. And when something is graphic like that, you want to really make it look like that, almost exaggerating in a way. Here we go down here, and then where it joins up to the body. Okay, now I'm going to go back and look at the other side. There's 2 little eyeballs, and I would put those in. And meanwhile, you're really pressing into the foam. Okay, like a little trough almost. Okay, go on this side. Okay, now the claw on the other side is, now this one has a slightly different shape, but just look at your picture, whatever it is you're working from. And then this is a little bit like that. There's a little opening there between, come around. And really, I think the best clue here is to look for shapes. So you can already see that the shapes are forming. Now I notice along the claw, there's like these little indentations. So right now, before I get any farther, I'm going to put those indentations. And I see that there's some lines within, curves within there. I'm going to put those in as well. Okay, same thing on the other side. Because they're going to define the printmaking when you go into it. So it really looks like a crab. Okay, now on the top of the shell, there are some delineating marks that really tell you it's a crab. And some of these areas you want to make deeper and some you want to make lighter. Okay, so now going back to where the crab shell is above this, we'll go to the first. And I'm doing this quickly so that we can get to the results end. You can spend a little more time on it, for sure, but this will give you an idea of how to get from A to B. Okay, now I'm going to do this one. See, I think this is a really cool reference because it has so many graphic separations in the design. So if you picked a shell, and they don't have to be summer things, but I just said, well, why not? Here, then this comes to a point, and you can exaggerate either that or not. Now, if you look at this last claw, this last leg, I should say, it has a really different kind of feel. So I'm going to make that happen, hopefully. And this is like this, and then this last piece comes down. By the way, just to show you this book, it's called The Anatomy of the Sea, and it has the most wonderful, all kinds of sea creatures. So if you're into that, I guess I am, because I like to paint and draw things from the sea. Okay, now the other side, I'm going to do the same thing here. Now this leg that's up here, and you can take as much time or not as you want. But just so that we can get to the printing stage, I'm going to move along here pretty quickly. But the whole time as you're pressing into the foam, some foams are thicker than others. So depending on the thickness of your foam and how much the pen can handle, but you don't want to press right through it, that's for sure. Okay, then we'll get the third leg here. And the thing I like about this is, again, the graphicness, the graphic feel, that it has separation. Here we go back to the leg on the bottom, which there's a few stripes in there, which I think if they came out, that's the other thing. You may plan and draw and go crazy with this, and then you'll say, oh, but that really didn't come out that well. So what? Try it again, wash it off. That's the other thing. This is very, very forgiving because you can wash off the paint and you can give it another shot. Okay, so here we go with this bottom and here. Now I could have done all this without you watching, but I thought that wouldn't be fair. So here I am drawing in front of everybody. These last legs, they have little things coming out from them. And you don't have to be exacting. You can give it a shot here and there so that you get the feel of what's going on. In fact, all these legs have, but I don't think they would print all that well. So I'm going to put some of them in, here and there, just so I know, well, that was the way it was. Okay, so everybody can see the crab, right? All right, now let's see, is there anything I want to add? Well, the line around the top of the shell is like a double line. So I'm going to actually go back because I think that's pretty distinctive. Go back here and give it a double feel here. Okay, so there we are. Okay, that's step one. Now, let me put this book away. Oh, by the way, if you need any of these, one of the Sharon Allen had given me a real good tip. The dollar stores all have like packages of these trays, 30 trays for $1. So if you really get into this and like it, that's where to make a stop. Or if you get vegetables or fruit, vegetables, or whatever. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, the next thing you want to do is some kind of a sponge. Now this is a sponge that has like a rough side and a smooth side. So because the styrofoam has a sheen to it, you want to just give it a little bit roughing up. You can do this with any kind of a sponge. I like this one because I think it does a good job. And you don't have to press too hard. Okay. All right. Now in this case, I'm thinking, let's see what kind of, if I have a card that it would fit on, I'll put it on a card. Okay. You know what? We'll try a card second, but the first time I'm going to print it, I'm going to try it on a piece of just regular printing paper. Okay. And when I say printing paper, I just mean it's paper that it has a little weight to it. Okay. Okay. Now you have acrylic paints. In this case, I took out some colors that I thought would be kind of crab-like in a way. And you want to protect your surface, because if you're printing and you end up with all the paint going all over your printing surface, then you end up with all your prints messy. So I don't like to do that. Okay, water. And these are acrylics going. So I have like an orangey red, which I think, well, crabs when they're cooked are red. They come out of the water blue. I'm from Baltimore, so I ate a lot of crabs in my life, but so I've seen them. Okay, so now what you want to do, you want the paint to be a creamy consistency. You don't want it to be too watery because it won't adhere to the foam well. Okay, so I guess everybody, let me get this position so we can see. Okay, so we're gonna put the paint right on, and it may resist a little bit, and it may take a couple of tries to get the paint to be where you want it to be on there. And sometimes I like it because it's not exact. It's, you can hold it. Okay, now I've just done the whole thing with that color, which means the whole thing is going to print that orange. What I think I'd like to do is add another color in here a little bit. So I'm going to take some of this yellow, and I'm going to mix it with the color I have there, and I'm just going to add it here and there for accent on the legs, maybe, just so when it prints it has a slightly different feel. Now there's no guarantees here. Every time you do this, it's going to be a little bit different, and that's the fun of it, is that you really are not sure exactly what you're going to get, but it can be cool. Okay, so real quick, now you can take your time with this and be a little more exacting with where your paint goes, but know that you can try this using this print block. In fact, I'm going to do it more than once. You can use this more than one time. Okay, for the first print, we're just going to do it on the paper. Okay, so now take it. It's very light because it's the styrofoam. And I'm going to put it right down and press. You don't want to press crazy hard, but you do want to press. And you want to see what you're getting from your drawing. Now, if your drawing needs some work, you can always wash it off and go back and redo. But that's kind of a cool beginning. I mean, I'm seeing enough of the crab, but I would like to see more. I like to have a little more definition. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the side, and I'm going to go back in here, And I think looking at my first print, I'm going to add a little more definition to that. In fact, I think I might add a little more like red because it needs some darks and lights. That's where your painting skills come in. You know, I'm saying that this is a printmaking painting class. Well, you have to have some of that painting information in your head. Okay, so now I'm going back over. You see the difference in the paint the second time? It adheres and there's less of the beading that goes on. And that happens quite often. And I think I'm gonna add like some of the yellow in the background so that maybe the crab will stand out a little better. See, I just did what I said don't do. Don't paint on your background. Okay, so I'm going to put some of the yellow behind. And I have another yellow here. Maybe I'll enhance that a little bit. And it's just like any kind of painting. You attack it the same way. Now you can see that the definition is getting better. Because the first time you do the foam, it has to get seasoned. Okay. And you don't have to use a big brush like this either, but I'm just doing it to get it to go quickly. I'm going to do another one with just designs. Okay, so now it has a more painterly feel to it. And I'm going to take the other brush with the darker color. I'm going to add some of this, getting brave here with this dark color. Ooh. Okay, and I want to really get into some of those legs that we are missing in the first print. That's what's kind of cool about, you know, looking at one print and then deciding what you want to do. And go back. And it's like I have a bucket next to me and I'm going to drop this guy in the bucket so that I can show you how to clean it up as well. Okay, so now it has a little more definition. Let's see what happens with that. I'm going to turn this piece of paper around the other way and print it. Ah, ta-da. I'm going to say it myself. And you can see what's happening with the actual printing surface itself. Okay, so can everybody see that I mean, it's arty. To me, it's arty. You can actually get back in here with a brush if you really wanted to find. You know what else you can do? You can take one of the fine line markers that you all use for Zentangle, and you can get in there and really enhance it. But to me, sometimes the beauty is not everything you see. You leave a little something to the imagination. Okay, any questions yet?
Yes. Can you use the acrylic paints that come in the little jars, or do you need the squish?
Oh, jars are fine. Jars are fine. You just need a surface, Manna, so that you can mix. You know, if you know those little palettes that have like little wells.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you can use. Sure. You just need an area where you can mix. Okay. This, in fact, I think I had told people about this. I bought this at Joann Fabrics, believe it or not. This clear, I think you could probably get it online, but it was like $15. I love it. I love it because you can it's easy mixing, great cleanup. So does anybody have any other questions about this?
Karen, like when we in the watercolor class, when we played around with dark backgrounds and putting images on darker backgrounds like dark blues, could you mentioned painting a background first and letting it dry, a background color first. Could you do something where you used a dark background color, and if your colors were light?
Dark background first. You know what? Let's take.
I have not. I mean, have you tried it?
I think I have. I don't know how dark it was,
That's
but
something I was thinking about.
okay, you know what I'm gonna do really quick? Let's see. Maybe something, I'm thinking about what that might print on. I'm not sure. But what we'd have to do is we'd have to wait till it dries.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's okay. I'm gonna put it out there and see what it looks like.
Oh, so
This
you've
is
never
like a,
tried it?
yeah. And these little sets, by the way, this was like a few dollars. This was in Michael's or something. That's all you really need. Or you can buy a couple of tubes, or you can buy one tube of black. You know, it just depends if you don't want to invest, or if you find later that you love this thing, love this method.
Do
I'm
you,
really loving it because I find that, you know what? I'm going to try this dark background on the card. And this is kind of a blue, dark blue. So we'll see what happens. I think the only thing that has to happen, you know what might be nice, is a dark color, maybe with a metallic gold or a metallic silver, or even, you know, a white mixed with another color. So let me just put this on here and we'll see what happens.
So you're painting onto the styrofoam right now, Karen,
No,
or on the card?
this is a card, hon. This is just one of those cards
Okay.
that you can buy. I just wanted to try the dark background for Cheryl, and
Okay.
we'll let that dry and we'll see how that goes.
I would also wanted to ask, the point of sanding or sponging the styrofoam was to, if you didn't sponge it, you would get more resist. Is that right?
Correct. That's correct. It sort of speeds up the taking off the resist. I mean, if you kept using and printing the card several times, like I only printed it twice here, and you can
Right.
see the first time, the first time it sort of resisted more than the second time. And
Yeah.
if I printed it 2 more times, it would get better and better.
Okay.
So the more times you do it, the styrofoam gets seasoned and it resists.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that.
Thank you.
Sure. Now, what I'm going to do is
Karen,
quickly.
do you always wet the brush before you use the acrylic paint? You always add water?
I do, because otherwise it gets kind of draggy. You know, the paint itself gets a little draggy. Now I'm going to dip this guy in my handy dandy bucket over here. I want to show you how well it washes off. Or not. Oh yeah, this is working. I don't have a sink in my room here, so. Okay, so there it is, back again. You know.
So you could also go in with your ballpoint pen and adjust the drawing if you found it lacking in some way.
Absolutely.
Yes?
Absolutely. I've done that several times, where say you didn't like the way something was done, or you wanted a deeper intaglio feel, sure. Or you wanted to add something rather than, or take it away. So you can see, there we go. Now, I think I'm going to live dangerously. And let's see, here's gold. I mentioned having metallic gold as part of your, little pile of tricks, because I just think it's something very different about metallics, and you can almost use them with any dark color to overprint. So let's see what happens with the metallic gold. Okay, I tried to rinse this brush as best I could. Yeah, maybe I should move this water over a little so you can see that a little better. Is the angle and lighting on the table good?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I changed it a little bit from the last time. Okay, so I go into the metallic, and metallic has a whole different, I don't know, consistency. It's not like other paints, so you have to really prime it up a little bit. because sometimes it gets very thin. So you have to really get it so you like it and it's nice and creamy. And I move the brush around a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go back right on here, and it's kind of dry, and we're going to see what happens. You know, this is a an experiment, which I think is kind of a cool one. Okay, and I think you have to really load it up with the metallic because it's kind of light and more transparent. This is a an acrylic metallic, so it should work okay. But you know, there's always the mystery of what happens next. But to me, with printmaking, I think that's kind of the joy of it. Is that, you know, once you pull that off, it reminded me of when I first started doing it, of the surprises you get with masking fluid. It's like, oh my goodness, is that real? Did that really happen? Did I really want that to happen? Okay, so here's our metallic, and it's pretty thick. And you see the resist here is not nearly as resisting as it was on the first print. So we should get a little more definition here. And it gets better and better, by the way. Okay, hold our breath. Let's see how dry this, well, okay, why not? We'll try it. Okay, so now this one I'm putting on the card, so I'm kind of lining it up in a strange manner. And I'm pressing a little harder this time because the light on the dark. Well, can you guys see that? It's actually very interesting.
That's
And I think,
fantastic.
see, isn't that cool? I think that could be very cool. And you might do a bunch of creatures like that, you know, sea creatures or whatever. Okay, so that's from a realistic standpoint. If you get some reference and then you, what I call, translate the drawing from the book or from anything that's printed, and then you turn it into line art, which is really what this has become. It's become line, and you define it or not define it. What does everybody think of that?
That's great.
It's great.
We like it, right? I
Yeah.
like
I
it.
really like that.
You
Yeah.
should see it in person. It's very cool in person. It's really shimmery and I don't know, it's so different.
It's
Okay.
even cool on the screen, actually.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to put this guy in the drink because I want to wash him off. If I left it on, then it would make it difficult to print again from. Okay, so you really need to wash your, I would call this our printing plate. Okay, going in the drink. Any other questions before I do that? No. Okay. In the water. Okay, so just to recap, I just want to show you the difference of what's happening. Oh, that doesn't work. I wanted to show you what we got going on here. Well, I can't get everybody in the picture at once. Oh, there we go, a little better. Okay, so it went from the first print, which was kind of undefined, and you can get back in there. And what do I mean by that? Let's see. There's my book. I'm going to give you an example of that. Here it is. Just to show you different takes on one idea. Okay, so here's the crab. And if I like some of what's going on there, then what I might do is go back in. First of all, turn it so it's the right side up. Don't try to draw it upside down. I go back in there with one of these pens and I'd really do something. I think, Cheryl, you said that you had a friend that did some very interesting things with line, although it was not realistic. It was more abstract.
Mm-hmm.
She put lines in her watercolors, fine
Yeah,
lines?
yes. She,
Okay.
like the colors were not, adding the very fine black lines actually drew your focus to it being an object. The colors were more abstract. But once
Ah,
the lines went in, it would define something that would turn out, well, you could see a flower, you could see the shape of a vase that wasn't defined beforehand. So first the application of color, various colors, and then using the thin black line to delineate the shape.
okay. So you guys can see what I'm doing here. Maybe I'll pull it over so you can see a little better. You see, what's better? You can go back in and really put in detail if you want to. If that first print you had was, you know, a little bit too abstract. This one I think stands on its own because of the darks and light paint. This one I think it might be nice to get in there and do some line work. It might be good. And this one, I think, Cheryl, you had the idea of the dark, the light on dark. I think this is the star of the show. Yay. So there you go with one image, what you can do. And that goes for everything that you know, anything that you work on with this foam printing. Now I'm going to do something that's a little more abstract, where it's just design, so you don't have to worry so much about drawing. But you know, it's nice to draw if you like to draw and you can draw, then you should. And it's good practice because I draw every single day, because even if I sit at a table and draw a teacup, I try to do something where my hand, and that's what they call it for an artist, is your hand stays in the game. Okay, now let me get another tray. Here, and I'm just going to do some abstract while I'm getting ready. Does anybody have any more questions right now? No? Okay. Okay. And the fun of this is you have all these that you can just go crazy and make as many as you want. Okay, again, you know, I'm going to do one this time that has an outside shape, because that's something we didn't do yet. Actually, I think I'm going to put two of these up at once, so we can do one that has a shape and one that doesn't. But talk about repurposing, you know, if you're using styrofoam pieces from the grocery store, hey, it has new life. It has a second life. You might even be able to figure out something to do with the edges. I haven't figured that part out yet. Okay, so we have two in the waiting room. Now, when I do something that's I want to say abstract or design oriented, I sort of do something for myself on a piece of paper before I go at it on the styrofoam. Now, in this case, maybe it has something to do with triangles, you know, where they're built up onto each other, or maybe there's a group of them. So I do this for myself to look at before I actually go and draw it on the styrofoam. You know, and this is such an inexpensive. Oh, the other thing is you can use both sides. You can print like I did the crab, you can turn it over and do something else. Okay, so I'm thinking this might be interesting all to itself. And it's almost like an overall integrated design, like in fabric design, this kind of thing, because what you can do is you can print it several times and it would make it an all over. This could be done on fabric too. It doesn't have to be just done on paper. That's an interesting road to go. Okay, so after I get this and I say, okay, that seems kind of cool. Let me, and you can do some inside. You don't have to, it doesn't have to just be the single, you know, the single triangle. But I'm going to do this one so that I'm going to leave this over here so you guys can see. And now I'm going to take this on. Okay, so let's see. Okay, it's going to be tall. I think tall and thin is the way to go here. All right, so again, ballpoint pen. And here I have a collection of two, one on top of the other. And I think I'm still going to stick with that. Okay, press in, press down. And if it goes a little jiggly, it doesn't matter. Here, oh, this almost looks like an hourglass. Okay, then I'm going to do the one on the bottom of it as well. And really press. Okay, now the ones on the side. And you'll see that the pen or pencil, whatever you're using to draw into the foam, sometimes it feels irregular, sometimes it jiggles around. I don't think that's a critical point. I think it kind of adds to the, I don't know, organic nature, even though you're working on an unorganic surface. Styrofoam is not that organically friendly, but that's okay. We're making it that way. Okay, so there's my two setups. I'm thinking, well, you know, maybe this needs a little more action, a little more something going on. So I'm going to do this inside of it. And I'm going to keep the same color palette that I had for the crab, just because those are the paints that are out. But believe me, you can go back and say, oh, this group I'm going to do purple and green, or, you know, whatever strikes your fancy. Okay, so here's one that is strictly, you know, and since there's another side here, maybe I'll do something else on that other side, but I'll go back to my little sketch thing here. And, or, I know, I'm just gonna go willy-nilly, and sometimes you should go willy-nilly as well. Okay, down the side, I'm just gonna give it a curvy thing down the side. And then another one. And this is good because when you get the feel of what this is like and working with it, then you can apply that to one that you get a little more serious about. Okay, here's another one. And this is the kind of thing where the design takes you, where it takes you. Like I looked at that side and I said, well, you know, maybe it's a little bit too linear, and I want something that's a little freer. Also, let's see, do we want to put, maybe we want to put a circle in here and there. That's the fun of this, and I'm hoping that you try this over the week's time, and you come back and we can review them and look at them and say, oh, I did this, or I did that, or I tried that dark background. You know, that was a new one for me. I think I tried a dark background, but not with an image. Okay, so there's just, you know, just shapes. Okay, so once again, you want to take your sponge surface, and these you can get anywhere, you know, grocery store, or you know what I've even used, a roughed up paper towel. It's just to take that top surface off, and then the first print is always going to be a little resistant anyway. Okay. Oh boy. You always need more flat surface. No matter how much you have, you need more. That's for sure. Okay, paper ready, printing block ready. Okay, so now I'll put the paper over here, get it ready. Now I'm going to ink this up. Once again, water first. You know, let's see. That's, oh, that water needs probably changing, but that's okay. We'll swing with it. Okay, in this case, I'm going to actually put on several colors in maybe a stripe pattern. See what happens with that. And you don't want your paint to be too watery. You want it to be, well, I used the term creamy surface. And this can get a little ombre-like. That's the big word in hair fashion lately. Ombre. My hair is ombre and I didn't want it to be. Oh, this hair business. But at least I got a haircut. That was. Okay, I'll put this here. Okay, now I'll turn it around. Get a little more paint on this side. Now you see it's really resisting over here, so we'll probably have to do this print again, but that's okay. Okay, let's see how this prints. I think it's kind of cool. And you know what? I think I'm going to show you one with a word, with a word so we can look at how that goes. Putting it on backwards and all that. Aha, voila. What do we think?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Cool, right? It's absolutely cool. And you know what? It's not anything that you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You just say, okay, I'm going to try that. And look what happens. Okay, now on the second print, I'm going to actually, I'm going to print it again. I may have to change this water, guys, but I'll promise I'll run. Let's see. What if I took this dark blue color, ooh, watch out, and went around the edge? It may come out to be muddy, but hey, we're trying things. But what happens is too, that the colors, this is mixing with the red and making purple. This is mixing with the yellow, making green. Let's see what happens. It'll be really cool. And you're not talking about a lot of expense here. And I'm sure you guys know, when you go to buy cards today, holy mackerel, they're crazy, the price of cards. And twice I tried to buy a card and I went into the store and there was nothing left. CVS? Oh my word. Okay, well, I probably could have put more paint on there to begin with, but I like what happened where the color mixed with the color underneath. You can really see it on the printing block. See how this looks purple? This looks green. It's sort
Now,
of
if you were going to do that again, would you wash it off and repaint it, or would
yes, you'd have to. Yeah, you'd have to because I don't. Well, you know what? I don't know. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. That's a good question too, Manna. It'll probably get a little muddy, but I'll try it anyway. So I'll put more red here. And I'll put the orange here. And the yellow here. Okay. Well, you know what's going to happen on the outside edge? It's going to work differently because you don't have the color underneath. But hey, let's see what happens. I think the prettiest or the most magical part of this, and I think I used the word magical in my description, was that it's so unique and different every time, every single time. Let me get another piece of paper. this one, let's put this right in the middle. See what happens when you get a lot of white around it.
It's 11 o'clock.
It is? I have a few minutes before. So, well, who said that?
My computer.
Oh, your computer. Okay, well, I just want to do one more thing. Oh, we have some chats here. We have some questions. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. Let me click on the chats. If you don't have have styrofoam trays, you can use an egg carton. Yes, Michelle, that's true. You can also buy cheaper Bristol board pads and make custom sized cards. Okay, there you go. Aha.
Ah, that's pretty.
What do we think, Manna?
Nice.
I actually like that better than the first one,
Me too.
right?
Yeah.
That is very cool. Very tribal.
Yes, it is tribal. It is almost like a tribal blanket or something. Really, really, really cool. Okay, while we have a few minutes left, I'm just going to try a word because I want you to see how to use a word. Okay?
Okay.
All righty. Over here. Was that someone's dog? Someone has a dog? Cute. Okay.
Sharon, what if you didn't cut the edges off and you left those edges on as like to be able to use them to hold, to push down? You'd only be able to use one side of it though, or made scalloped edges on the print or something.
You know what? With this word, we're going to make the shape. I did promise you to see that. Now, I would love to see what you guys do with this. And I think it's going to be recorded, so it's not that you won't be able to, you know, see the repeat of what I'm saying. And if you have any questions, that would be good. Okay, so you're saying maybe we should scallop this. Well, I never did one where I left the edges on because it would be very hard to print from. You know what I mean? You couldn't get a flat. Yeah. You couldn't get a
push
flat
it down.
feel. Pardon?
You couldn't push it down.
That's right. You couldn't
well
get a
enough,
flat
yeah.
feel. That would be really tough. Okay, so here we'll see what it's like to have an edge. You know, a curvy edge, or like the fish that I did, you cut out the fish. Okay, so now we have an edge, and let's see what I told you about tracing paper and words. So that's what I'm going to show you. Okay, so the word might be merci. Since I just had a birthday this week,
Happy
Bastille
birthday.
Day.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It was fun. Okay, there's the word merci. Now, I turn it around.
You need an R in that merci.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Look at that. Woo! Thank you. Woo! That's what happens when you're working fast. Okay, so I have it in front of me, and that's exactly the same thing. Into the foam, and you can make it tall. You can make it thin. Okay, so you go around. This time we're going to put the R in, Joanne. Thank you. I think I'll make it a nice and tall R.
My sister calls me the grammar police.
I like it. Everyone needs that. You know, artists are renowned for spelling things wrong. Isn't that? You know why? Because we're looking at every letter individually instead of as the word. Okay, now I'm going to make that a little bigger. Okay, very quickly, merci. All right, now, and if you don't have tracing paper, you could use, I don't know, tissue, any kind of tissue from, as long as you can see through it. That's all you need. All right, this time, we'll get some paper again. Get your little prep page here again. And you should never work with dirty water. Oh boy, it's so dirty, but that's okay. All right. Oh, anything anybody wants to see as far as technique goes, painting wise? No, we did ombre. We did gold on the dark. We
Do you have
did.
to scrape it first? Do you have to scrape it first?
Oh, boy, am I glad you guys are there. Oh, that's what happens when you're in the spotlight. Excuse me. Oh, boy. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. That's why I wrote that little information sheet out. I'm sorry you got it so many times. That's terrible. You know, I can never tell unless you guys tell me
No.
that you got it.
Just trying to be careful.
Pardon?
We're just trying to be careful and making sure we all got the information.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure that you got something so that, you know, if you need any kind of prep time, I hate to leave you in the lurch. Okay. This is a really favorite color of mine. And everybody has their favorite colors and their own personal internal palette. So, okay. So once again, the same method, and really go out to your edge this time. Make sure you get your edge because you made an effort to make it scalloped in a shape. Now it is resisting a little, but I'll just keep at it until hopefully there's less of a resist. Okay. And this, I think, maybe I'll do twice. And here, because you have an edge, you want to pay special attention to getting to that edge, meaning, you know, getting around. Okay, it says merci. And I might, you know, I might embellish that merci with another color or not. I'm going to try it one more time because you can see that it's getting more seasoned now. And you know what? I'm going to take some of this dark blue. Ooh, scary.
Karen, I'm wondering if you tried to print on a glossy photo, say from a magazine.
You could probably do that.
You think?
It might,
try that.
you know, it might, the ink or the paint might sit up a little bit on it,
Right, right.
but that's okay. You know, that's the whole thing with this. It's like so free and easy. And next week, I'm going to go a little deeper into the whole printmaking process than we're doing here. But I really would like you to try something before the next session. Okay.
Karen, I have to go to another class. Is there anything I need to know before I go?
Who is that?
Doris.
Doris. No, Doris, I'd like you just, if you would, try something and then try to send it to me. And maybe I'll make a comment. Or if you don't, then just bring it to the next class and we'll have a little, I don't like to use up the class session with critique, but see, that's kind of cool what's happening up in there. I don't know whether you guys can see it that well. It's sort of spidery looking. And if you wanted to, now this is wet, which is really a no-no, but just never mind that. And let's see. I'm going to take some paint and let's see, I'll go in here since I'm you know, just to show you that the idea of mixing the media, mediums, media, it's kind of fun. And this might be nice if it was like metallic, if you use the metallic gold there. Now, how would that be if somebody got a handmade card from you that said whatever you want to say. And you can go in there and, you know, paste it on a card or use it as a, you can do a whole series of prints using, you know, the word thank you, merci, gracias, you know, all the different ways to say it. And that might make a really beautiful print if you were able to print 5 different ways to say thank you. But it might be beautiful. Okay, and then, you know, Tiluca, that's me. Okay, any questions before we part?
I have a question.
No questions.
How do we
Oh.
send it to you?
I'm sorry.
How do we send it to you if we take?
Oh, the email address?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? It's Bastille Day, BASTILLEDAY 14 at AOL.
Thank you.
And I wish you happiness, and I'm dying to see what everybody does.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, somebody asking?
Oh, this was great, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, enjoy, and
Thank
let me see some great stuff.
This
Okay.
was great.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
again.
Have a good week.
Happy
Bye, all.
birthday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.